Now that we finished sketch one, which was a triangle, what we're going to do is move on to our second sketch. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make this disappear so that's not distracting or in the way. So what you do is you go to your sketch folders in your project browser, open up that folder, and you're going to see your sketch. So again, we renamed it to something to make it easier to identify. And so to make it disappear and reappear, you're going to click on the eyeball icon located to the left of the name of your sketch. So again, you click on it to make it disappear, and then you click on it again to make it reappear. Okay. So for sketch number two, we are going to be doing the polygon, which is this one right here. So in this polygon, we have all the necessary information. We can see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. We also know what is the length of one of the faces or the sides of the polygon. We know what is the interior angle, which is 135 degrees. And we also know what is the distance from the center to the outside of that polygon. Yep. So there are many different ways to create this polygon. The more complicated way of doing that is to use the line tool and then draw out every single line and angle correctly, which I'll go ahead and demonstrate. So what I did is started another sketch, clicked on the same work plane, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw that out. So for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and then I'll tell you pretty much more or less how long it took me to produce that. Okay, so I've pretty much reproduced the octagon with the correct measurements, the correct angles, using just the line tool. It was a very arduous process. It took me about 3 minutes, mainly because I had to contend with the constraints that are automatically generated. The reason it is the program kind of does tend to assume that, if you're doing two lines, that they're going to be parallel, perpendicular to each other. So it doesn't really consider if they're going to be off at a slight angle or not. The other thing also is like when you don't have the dimensions of any of the lines or the angles, soon as you start modifying them, they kind of do crisscross and overlap each other, and it becomes a huge jumble mess. What you'll also notice compared to the original drawing that we have here, all we has 1, 2, 3, 4 different elements, two driven dimensions. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 measurements for the sides. Two of them are driven dimensions. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 angles, where one of them is a driven dimension. So you can see it's a lot more measurements in order to make sure that that polygon is the same as the one I've created. The easier way to do this is to use the polygon tool. So I'm going to go to create to open up click on the little drop down box, and then we go into polygon. Now, in the polygon category, there are three different types. You have what is called the circumscribed polygon. And what that does is that if you know the distance of the center to the outside edge or face of a polygon, you would use that one. The second type of polygon is known as an inscribed polygon, and that one works if you know the distance of the center to the corner of the polygon. So like where the two lines meet up, that will be the inscribed one. Usually that distance or that radius will be a lot larger than a polygon that is circumscribed. And if you want it to be identical, those radius measurements will be different. The third one would be like if you don't know the distance of the center to the outside of your polygon, but you do know what is the length of one of the faces of the polygons, you can use the edge polygon to do that instead. So based off of the original drawing, it uses the circumscribed polygon because it measures the distance from the center to the outside face of the polygon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to place that circle, the center point of that polygon, anywhere that I want. So I'll click over here on the right hand side. From there, I can go ahead and establish how big, how small I want that polygon. So for exercise 1, this measurement is going to be 0.75. As soon as I do that, now when I move my mouse around, it's going to stay at that consistent measurement. So you can kind of see that circle representing the radius of my polygon. The only thing I can control now at this point is how is the polygon oriented. So is it going to be flat at the top, flat sideways, flat towards the bottom, or some other angle? So I'm going to go ahead and click and place it anywhere right here. So I'll click on that. And with that, everything else has been generated. So if I click on this edge right here, it is going to tell me that I'm over constraining it because again, all we need to do is know how many sides and what is the size of the radius. Now, my only mistake that I did is I forgot to specify the number size of the polygon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control Z to go back and cancel that out, or before I drew it out. So I'm going to select circumscribe polygon one more time, click anywhere to place the middle, set it to 0.75. But before I press enter, I'm going to press tab instead. So that's going to allow me to jump between the length of the radius and then the second number is going to be how many sides I want to have in my polygon. So the sketch exercise 1 requires us to do a octagon, which means that it has 8 sides. So I'm going to press 8, give it a moment to process that and then adjust. And then all it's left to do is to adjust the orientation of the polygon. So I'll have it go straight up like that. So now when I measure that side, or any side of that polygon, it's going to give me a measurement of 0.621. So it matches the one I did with the line tool, and it matches the one that I've done on exercise 1, the original file. Okay. So with that, that's the polygon completed. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one right here. I don't need that one anymore. Why is it not letting me delete? There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch. And then over here in my sketch folder, I'm going to call sketch number 2. I'll call it octagon. Octagon. Oh, I can't spell for nothing today. Octagon. Nope. Why is it doing that? Triangle. Octagon. Hmm. Very strange. So because I'm using the online version of Fusion 360, sometimes there may be issue with lag because of internet connectivity. So if you're running into this issue like I am, the easiest thing to do would be kind of just ignore it and then come back to it later on. So octagon. The other thing you can do is to check the status of your project, and that's to go up here in the top right corner, and then there's going to be a little clock icon. That is your job status. That's to let you know whether you're working with the cloud activated, so you're working and it's updating online, or if you're working online, which you need to make sure that you save your work so you don't lose your progress. So those are 2 sketches done. The next sketch that we're going to create will be the circle one. So that's also a very simple one. Basically, we talk about the circles, how to use constraints to line up your circles, and then adjusting the positions of them.